Oh, my Bubby. My Bubby. She was a vegetarian. We don't know why, but she took an oath sometime in her young life that if something happened, she would give up meat. And she never, she ate, mostly she ate apples. Her room was full of apples and she smelled like apples. She never changed her clothes from the turn of the century, so she wore high button shoes and she wore long black dresses with little white flowers and sleeves with lace at the end up to here and up to here. And she wore a sheitel, which was red. But her own hair would peek out. I always couldn't figure out why Bubby had red hair up here and white hair on the sides, you know. And then one day, my mother was in business years later, and I was around 9, 10 years old, and my Bubby was sleeping, and my mother said, go wake her up, we're going to have some tea. And I went into the bedroom, it was dark, my Bubby was in the bed, but her head was on the dresser. And I came out screaming, Bubby's head is on the dresser. No, no, no. She explained to me, Bubby has a sheitel, and that's a form. And she says, no, she's okay. So I learned my Bubby was wearing a wig. I didn't know that. But she had the most amazing earlobes. She had 2 sort of silver raspberry earrings that hung down her long earlobes, and the holes of earlobes were really, really big. And she was living there with my Aunt Pearl. There was a stoop. And she sat on the stoop on the chair, and she'd always teach me Yiddish songs. And if I sat the right angle while she's teaching me, I could look through her earlobes into the window and see my Aunt Pearl combing her hair. You know? So I used to line myself and look through the world at my Bubby's the hole in her ear, because she had these wonderful big earlobes with these big holes, you see. Also, I used to go to her room, and she went to shul every day, every single day. She was very, very Orthodox, very religious, and very superstitious also. A little bit of witch, you know. And I'd go into her room, and she'd be sitting in her rocking chair. She had one window in her room, and there's a book called Sen Oren, a woman's prayer book, and she'd be sitting there and davening and crying, and you know. And I used to love watching her, and she'd sort of withdraw from me. And even that was wonderful, because I just would watch her, and her body language was so different than anyone else that I knew in my world in those days. My Bubby loved schmatas, junk. And when you saw her coming, she'd be coming down the street. I could see her 2 blocks away walking. And she'd go, and in those days in New York, you put your garbage in front of the house to be picked up. And she'd go to every garbage pail. And she'd bring me trucks and dolls, but all stuff, and my mother would throw it out. She said, you can't have it, it's schmutzig from the garbage. And she would yell at my grandmother, "Was tust du, what are you doing? Why are you giving it to him such junk?" And I used to then take it out of the garbage and clean it up, and I loved the toy she brought me. You know, she brought me a boat that was half broken, but I used to take it to the water in the ocean, in the Rockaway, and it was fine, you know. So we had a special relationship, and she also had, she sold buttons. There was a street in Brooklyn called Blake Avenue where people had push carts, and they would sell bananas, and they would sell pants, and they would sell everything from push carts. And my Bubby had a stand, outside of a kosher butcher shop, she had a stand where she put bricks and boards, and she sold buttons. I don't think 2 buttons matched. But people just come looking for a button that matched a dress they had, and they'd find buttons. But while she was doing that, people would go into the back of the butcher shop, was cages full of chickens. And people would come and pick out a chicken and then have the shochet slaughter it and bring it to my grandma to flick it. She was a chicken flicker. So she'd sit there selling buttons and flicking chickens. And when she got to the pin feathers, she'd singe them with a little, like a Bunsen burner. And I love that smell to this day, the smell of burnt feathers. You know, but I used to sit with her and try to sell buttons and clean up the feathers after she had a big bunch around her. And it was like magic. She was a magical lady for me, you know, flicked chickens, sold buttons, told stories, you know, had 2 colors hair, you know, earlobes you could look through. Amazing lady.